Hi, welcome. My name is Amy, Amy's Crafts and Things. I'm going to show you how to do a quick digitizing for yarn couching today. I have my program open. The first one that we're going to do is a heart. So I'm going to go into shapes. I'm going to click on heart. I'm going to draw it out and size it to how I want it to be. Then I will go home, click on arrange, and move to center. Then this is going to be your placement line when it stitches out. Then I'm going to go up to home and duplicate, arrange, move to center. I'm going to click on the word shapes, and then I'm going to change that color to something different. This does two things. It programs the machine to stop. And when it stops, then you can go ahead and remove your hoop off of your machine to put your yarn down and add it back to your machine. This is just a running stitch. It depends on the yarn that you use. If you're using a worsted weight number 4 yarn, then a running stitch is sufficient. And you're going to want to change the run pitch to a 4.0 to 6.0 depending on how you want it to stitch out. This is one of those things that you're going to have to try it out and test it. And you're going to want to do it on the fabric that you are going to have your final design on. So you're going to want to test these out and make sure you're getting the results that you need before you actually stitch onto your final product. If you're using a thicker yarn, like a number 5 or higher, the really big thick chenille yarns, then you're going to want to change your running stitch to a treble stitch. And you're going to want to adjust your run pitch accordingly. I will have a chart in the description below that will talk about the different run pitches, stitch lengths that you're going to want to use for the yarn that you're going to use for your project. So then we can go ahead and run the stitch simulator to see how it stitches out. It's very simple. It's a placement line and then your sew down line. And it's that simple. Now, if you are going to want to digitize out a shape off of a photo or an SVG, that is totally doable as well. We'll go ahead and select all and we'll just remove those. And then we will go up to image, go up to open from file. You're going to find the image that you're going to want to use. Once you have your design or your image loaded up to the screen, you're going to want to resize it to the size you want to digitize it as. You're also going to want to go up to the upper left-hand portion of your screen. You'll have the word home, save, modify image, and then you're going to have the slider bar. You're going to want to slide that down to change the opacity down and fade it out so that you can see where you're plotting your lines a lot easier. Then you can go to home, you can go to shapes, click on your open straight line or your open curved line and start plotting your lines. I'm going to use the straight one, but feel free to use the curved one if you prefer to use that instead. I like to just try to go around and plot my lines and go back and add the curves later. So I'm just going to quickly trace around here. One thing that you certainly want to keep in mind as you choose your designs, choose your lettering, and choose the size that you want your finished product to be is the yarn size that you're going to be using for your couching. And that's very important because the thicker the yarn, the smaller your design will stitch out. I will have a sample for that for you to view as well at the end of the video. There you go. So I'll go to Home. I'm going to go to Select the Points tool, and it will bring it so that you can go ahead and add extra points or nodes or whatever, and then you can click on it. If you right click on the node, you can get to curve, and that will allow you to curve out that point. Go to curve, and you just kind of go around to adjust all your points. You're going to want to take as much time as you need to make sure that your tracing is how you like it. For the sake of this video though, I'm just going to do a very quick tracing. You will certainly want to take your time as you do this so that your end result will be what you want it to be, your desired turnout. I will have a chart below in the description about the different stitch lengths according to different yarns to give you a starting point as far as how long or short you're going to want those stitches to be when you tack down or sew down that yarn. You're going to also want to use a wooden chopstick or a stiletto to help hold down your yarn as it's sewing, so that your fingers are clear of that needle. You don't need any accidents there. Another helpful tip when you're sewing down your yarn is you're going to want to slow your machine down as slow as it will go. That will allow you to manually stop your machine so that you can adjust your yarn and make sure it's in the proper placement. Some designers will go ahead and actually program different stops in their designs or their letters at the different curve points, but I feel that if you have your machine slowed all the way down, you're going to have plenty of time to stop it and adjust the yarn as you go along. Some machines will automatically remember that you have it set for a slower stitch rate, so make sure that when you go back to sewing and embroidering other designs that you go ahead and put that back to the speed at which it was before you lowered it. Some machines have couching attachments. You're going to want to check with your manual to make sure how to use those. Just about done here, I think. Bring that out. This one could be fixed. To curve. We're just about done here. Go ahead and soften that out a little bit. And there you go. We'll call that good for now. It's probably not as fancy or as good. I could spend a lot of time here just moving around points, and I really just don't want to take up your time doing that. So we'll just go ahead and leave it at that. And that will be your outline. So to get rid of the image, you go to Image, and then you can go ahead and click on Delete, and that will remove your image. Then we'll go back to Home. We're going to select the object, select the point, there we go. And then we're going to go up to Duplicate, and we're going to duplicate that image. Then we're going to go to Shapes. We're going to change that to a different color for the to program that stop in. Let's choose something a little bit different there. There you go. And then we're going to go Home and Arrange, move to Center, and then I need to get my sewing order back. So to get to the sewing order, you're going to go to View, and you're going to click on Sewing Order, and that will bring your sewing order screen back up. Let's see, let's make sure both of these are arranged to the center. That one is. Right click, select the object, Home, Arrange to Center. And we're going to go ahead and change this one to a run pitch of 6.0 for a thicker yarn. And then you can certainly, the thicker the yarn, you can usually choose either a running stitch or a triple bean stitch, works just as well. You're going to want the triple stitch for the much thicker chenille yarns. And then you can do your sew out to see how it's going to stitch out. And again, this will be, I'll just speed this up just a hair, that's your placement line. And then you're going to take it off the machine. You're going to take a thin bead of glue over your placement line. You're going to glue down your yarn and put your hoop back on your machine, and then it will sew it out. So it does go pretty quickly, actually, the whole sewing process. I will go ahead and sew out and come back and show you the results. Here's the overall sewing out of the design of the heart. As you can see, I did use the exact same size heart. I used the same file, with the only exception that I changed was the heart on the bottom, because it was a number 6 bulky weight yarn. I used the triple bean stitch for my sew down. That's the only difference that I did. Otherwise, the hearts are exactly the same size in the file, and it just shows you that there is going to be shrinkage. It's very important to keep that in mind, especially with lettering, so that you can actually read it after you sew it out. You're going to want to do several tests to make sure you're getting the look that you're going for before you sew your final project. If you're doing sweatshirts and you don't have sweatshirt material to practice on, go to the thrift store, buy some sweatshirts, cut them up, use them for your test pieces. It's a pretty inexpensive way to do that, especially if you don't have a fabric store nearby. I lost our fabric stores. We had Joann's just a few miles from the house, and Michael's does not carry any apparel fabric like that, so thrift store is a very good option to go get sweatshirt fleece and different types of fabrics to test out on. So that's also an option for you guys to do as well. Thank you for watching. If you have found the video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to be notified when I do more videos. If you have any suggestions for other videos, please feel free to reach out to me, and we'll work together to get something up for you. Thank you for watching.